Hello, everybody. Marvin Faulkner here again with the last of our series of inspirational messages, affectionately known as the Fireside Chats. This will be the last one for this year. And we've had, it's a learning curve like anything. And so there's been some problems at times with volume and mics, but we're working on it the best we can. And now we've consulted with somebody who may give us some further advice on production and quality and thing. But the message is what is the most important. And I mean, without that, you really don't have much at all, do we? So I really just want to try to converse with you this last time for the year about love. All the messages have been about love and in different forms, and we've covered different topics, and we've kind of concentrated and began to focus in on a love known as unconditional love. And so that has been the emphasis. And I think all I would say right now about the United States of America is just that, God bless America. And may God continue to hold this country in his hands. And we would just continue to pray for our leadership and for those people that are put in that positions so that they represent us and that they do the best that they can. I want to send out some appreciations. I want to know the owners of the surgical hospital where I work. I want them to know, if they ever get a chance to look at any of these, this one for example, that they would know how much the employees and I appreciate that we've been able to hold our jobs and have a place to work, because not everyone has had that in this horrific 2020. I don't think this will be a year that's forgotten very easily by many people. I want to thank all the employees on both sides, the clinical side, of course, where I spend the majority of my time, and the operating room side, where I spend some time. And the continual blessings to have good people in positions, in key positions, that help so tremendously. And, I know that I have mentioned the people that I spend most of the time with on the clinical side. And Carol, you're missed. But all of them over there, I mentioned them before, and so I won't spend time doing that because I'll forget people on the operating room side. And I may not miss a name, and I don't want to, because there's been a lot of people who've thrown a lot of help behind me and the patients that I serve. So, having said that, I want to say that this last week at work was a very difficult week, but that seems to be the case most of the time, but not all the time. But this one is memorable, and the reason is because people are suffering and they are having a difficult time. And I know that I could have made other choices in my life. I said that in the movie, the independent film. The choices we make are all that we own, because we're not carrying anything else with us when we leave but the record of the life that we have lived. And so I will never know what would have happened should I have chosen another road. I only know the road I've chosen. And my youngest girl always tells me that, your dad, you don't know what you might have been spared from. So I'm very, very thankful for my children, that Taylor is here with me currently, that I have 2 daughters. I want to say thank you to my son-in-laws for being good husbands to them, because not everybody has that. And I'm very, very thankful for my son being here with me and helping me with this, and that he and I are able to be together during this time in the holiday season, because not everybody has that. It never fails me to, just when I began to think, you know what, what kind of journey have I experienced? It seems pretty tough. And I'm not going to diminish it. It registers. But I go into a patient room and they're crumbling, and for good reason. And they're facing something that I haven't faced yet, which is sometimes hard to believe, but I walk out and I go, well, that's that. So this was one of those type of weeks. I do want to make note that it registers when I hold a patient in my arms and they're sobbing and crying because they are losing a child. And that hurts. That's painful. And I, thanks be to God, have not endured that pain. But she knew that we loved her, as both my medical assistant and I held her up and loved her. And we could see the difference that even that short period of love made. I walked only out of that room into another. And there was another very, very sad and horrific story. But actually, this particular patient was doing better than in the past times that I've seen him. But he really wasn't seeing it that way. So I had to lovingly and gently remind him that I am still wearing the cross that he gave me some time back. And that if he was going to continue to express things that were not conducive to life and living, that he could have the cross back. Because I wanted to know that he knew how much this meant to me and how many times I've rubbed it for me to gain inspiration. So I told him to go back into the place where he is abiding and for him to look for people who had it worse than him and give them the one thing that can help them through that day, and that is love. There have been more than more than once, that I've had some difficulties trying to gather myself to give an inspirational message. And I would question God, and I would say, really, am I doing your work now? Are you satisfied as I have journeyed through times of darkness and then the light again and darkness and different things that I've expressed in the book that many people have gotten, that's been a blessing to them. For those that have suffered and lost, this has made a difference, and I'm proud of that. And many people have grabbed a hold of this because they just know that laughter is good medicine. And I'm proud of that. But I really wanted to know, as I look back through my life, I'm like, if this is my last day, what will God say? And what will He see in me? I am glad that I am of the Christian faith. I'm glad about that, but I don't push that on anyone else. People have other faiths. But for me, I need the blood of Jesus. I need His crucifixion. I need to know that He has covered me. Because I've been to some places in my life that I wish to God that I've never been. When people have things thrown at them in this life, they weren't necessarily from the choices that we made. They were just kind of thrown at you, you know. And some of these things are difficult, and they're hard to navigate through. But I know that my Lord understands me, because it was okay for Him to be angry. He did that at the temple when He turned over their tables. It was okay for Him to express some doubt, because He did that when He cried out to His Father, asking why He had been forsaken on the cross. If it's good enough for Him, it's good enough for me. So on those times when I fail, He will cover me. And I'm confident of that because I've asked Him to. And I believe He will. So we have talked and discussed about unconditional love. And on my podcast number 13, I was asking more or less and having you ponder on a question about when love is not enough. There are times here on this earth when it would appear that the love that we have to give is not enough. This can happen in relationships where you love someone very deeply, but they don't love you back. And so you might walk away from that thinking, I guess my love wasn't enough. But is that really true? Because if you gave it all you had, all the love you had to give, you didn't do anything wrong. The other person just simply didn't feel the same way. And I've had that happen on both sides of the fence, where it was me that I loved, I gave all I had. And then I've had it where that, somebody may have, on occasion, possibly have cared more for me than I did them, but I don't recall that I ever intended to hurt anyone. I mean, that was kind of my problem in the boxing ring. I wanted to win, but I really wasn't all that interested in hurting anyone. wounding them in a way that they might not recover from. So I always would answer people when they asked me, how long were you and Tamara married? And I would respond, 13 years. And I've done that for quite some time. And the answer, truthfully, is it was 14 years. But it just goes to show the power of the mind. I had blocked that last year out because I didn't want to remember it. I did not want to recall that pain and that suffering. We were married on a Friday, August the 13th. Friday the 13th, but I'm not superstitious. But we had some very, very good years, and not everybody has that. So I'm glad for what I have. 3 wonderful children, so thankful for the blessings that I have. Sometimes I have resented being a physician, didn't think it really gave back what I had given it, that I loved more to medicine than what it gave back. But you know what? I mean, it gave me the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives and for them not to suffer as much. I want the walking wounded to feel better. So we're going to get back to this question and or statement about love here, maybe not being quite enough. Let me dispel the myth of this, and let me try to encourage all of you so that we can leave 2020 on a high note and not a low one. You see, there was a time that I prayed for my wife, the mother of my children, to live. I wanted her to live. Despite the prognosis, I wanted to stand in faith and have her live. I did not want to lose her, and neither did my children. And what a loss it has been. There also came a time when I prayed for her to die and her to go on. Was it because my love was not enough to keep her here? Or was it because I loved her so much? I loved her so much more that I was willing to let go. Because on the other side is a love so deep, so massive, so beautiful, that it can be unmatched by any love that we've been able to muster here. I didn't lose Tammy because my love wasn't enough. I let Tammy go because my love was more than it had ever been. It was the best that I had to give. And I wanted her to be in the company of a greater love. And I will join her, like you will join members of your family that have gone on. I want you to take comfort in knowing that when you have given all the love that you know to give, you have done your best. There's nothing else for you to do. So be comforted. Try to mourn and grieve. We're all going to do that. Try to do it comforted by the knowledge of knowing that a greater love awaits for each and every one of us. You know, sometimes we don't play the cards that were dealt very well. Other times, maybe we do. Sometimes these tragic events can cause us to make very, very poor choices, and we pay for them. That's why it's best to let go and let God and try to stay still and hold on to your faith. I believe that on occasion, all of us are somewhat shortchanged by one another with the love that we offer or our ability to receive. But we push on and we learn through the course of life that those moments, those tiny moments, that the kids are little and mom and dad are both alive and grandma and grandpa are there, and I mean, everybody's there. Lots of love to go around, and you just like, oh, it's so beautiful, and you think this is the way it will be forever, but no, it's not. Years pass, time changes, and suddenly there are people missing. And you go and you love those that are left. And you do that to the best of your ability. And it's okay. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to have doubt. It's okay to express anger. They're natural things. I mean, our Christ did that. And it's okay. But you push through, you get through, you never forget. It's not about getting over anything. It's about learning to live with it to the best of your ability. So let's dispel this idea that our love just wasn't enough. Let's believe rather that our love was more than it had ever been because we were willing to let go and have that person that we love so much abide in a place. Peace. There will be peace in the valley. No more sorrow. No more pain. No more tears. There will be peace in the valley for you and me. I used to play that song on the piano for my mother to sing long time ago. I've heard many renditions, none better than Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers, except for possibly Elvis. Peace in the valley, peace in the valley. Right now, 2020, COVID, death, depression, suffering. But there will be peace in the valley someday. I ask God to send me a messenger that I might know that despite my failures, that what I'm doing is making a difference. So I would further like to dedicate this to Karina. Someone I met at work, and I didn't know that my staff had been praying that I might have a moment with her. I didn't know that. And when I had coffee with her, the message that she shared with me let me know that that was what I had asked for. She told me the things that I needed to hear so that I might continue on to help and to bless others. So God is real. He's there. 2020. What a year. Did we have worse ones in the past? This country? Yes. According to history, yes. The big difference, we had powerful, engaging, and inspirational leaders to get us through. Maybe not so much this time around the fence. Maybe not so much. But we pray for them. And we pray for them to love and to give it their best. Because there are people out here that are giving it their best every day. I pray for those who lost loved ones and relatives to the COVID and other things. You loved. Not too long ago, I put down a faithful friend of 15 years, Simba. A very, very loving dog. She was ready. She showed that. And she was strong. And she was courageous, like we always knew the lion she was. And so I began to doubt and kick myself. And did I brush her enough? Had I walked her enough? Did I do enough? And I began to torment myself because that's what I do. I wish I could quit that. But as I gave it thought, I realized, you know what? No, I loved that dog. And I gave her my best. And that is all anyone can do. So are there times when your love isn't enough? All you need to be concerned about is you gave your best. And something much better is awaiting on the other side for anyone and everyone who believes. You have hope for a better 2021. You love those around you. You stand firm. You fight the fight all the way into the championship rounds. You rest in knowing that your love was enough because it was all you had. You gave it what you had. For those that I have shortchanged somehow in love, you must forgive me, because I'm asking you to. But I believe for the most part in my life, I've given love to the best of my abilities. And that's enough. So your love, it was more than enough. There's just somebody on the other side whose love is greater, and you cannot compete with that. I love each and every one of you. May God bless you in this future year. Let's hold on to the promises. Frank Sinatra sang, regrets. I've had a few, but too few to mention. Well, I never wrote a song like Paul Anka did, and I never had a voice like Frank. So maybe I've had some regrets, and maybe I mentioned them. I guess I wrote a book on it. But I still loved. I loved. I gave it all I had. And I love you. Have a Merry Christmas and a prosperous and happy New Year. God bless you.